Out everybody. Okay. Yep, looks like everybody's there. All right. Well, welcome and thank you guys for joining us today for our new knowledge session. This is our series of professional development workshops to support business owners, nonprofits, and citizens in not only Washington County, but around the Commonwealth. My name is Billy Roberts with Locus, and if you're not familiar with us, we are a community development financial institution. We provide lending, investing, and community innovation services. We're happy to partner with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abington to present this business and organization skill development. This program was started in 2014 by Ms. Sandy Ratliff in partnership with the others to support the Washington County Business Challenge competitors and has become one of the oldest running business training programs in Virginia. Today's session is titled Social Media, Choosing the Right Channels, and will be recorded for training and educational purposes. But before we get started, I wanted to note that in order to keep the webinar flowing and stay within our 1 hour goal, we will probably mute everyone. However, we do want to hear from you. So we ask that you please post your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and Karen will be able to see those things there, and I'll help her monitor. And she'll either address as she goes through or wait until the end. But please if you have any questions, just post them there. And I want to welcome Karen Keene with Letterpress. Letterpress Communications is a boutique marketing agency based out of Farmville, Virginia. They have offices in Marion and in Stanton. You say Stanton or Staunton? I'm going to say Stanton today. Stanton, Virginia. Letterpress specializes in rural community-powered marketing, serving a wide range of industries across the Commonwealth and to North Carolina. By focusing on community, Letterpress helps their clients leverage the power of their teams and their stories to create growth and ultimately good for their community. Karen is an account executive at Letterpress Communications and has worked with the company first as a creative contractor and then as a full-time employee since June of 2021. She manages projects and social media accounts for clients across a variety of industries and with an array of goals. Karen holds a BA in English from Longwood University and an MA in English from Miami University of Ohio. Welcome, Karen, and thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Billy. I'm very excited to be here and to chat with you all. And Billy, were you still good to share the screen?
Yes, give me 2 seconds. I'll get it on there for you.
Sure.
Maybe. Ah, where did it go? 1 second. Can't get away.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Like Billy said, this workshop is all about choosing the right social media channels for your business. And Billy, I can go ahead and just tell you next slide whenever, if that works. So first thing I want to do, okay, awesome. All right, so first thing I want to do is just to get to know kind of the audience a little bit here. So if you could put in the chat, who are you? What do you do for work? And what channels are you currently using on social media, both for your business and for your personal use? And what do you like about them? So I'll give everybody a minute or two to go ahead and put that in the chat, and then I will give my answer. Very nice, Carly. I use a lot of different platforms, but Facebook is my favorite. And we're going to talk about, it's also the most common and most widely used. So awesome. And Billy, yeah, LinkedIn definitely makes sense. Bed and breakfast on Facebook, very nice. Facebook and Instagram, Facebook. Very good. Well, while we finish getting our answers in there, I'll go ahead and talk through what I use. For business, I am definitely on LinkedIn most of the time. That is how I connect currently with different colleagues and clients. I am on there all the time for that. Back way back when I was first graduating from my master's program, that is where I went to network and to learn more about both the fields I was trying to go into and what opportunities there were in those fields. Personally, I am a Facebook fan. I was telling somebody just yesterday that the reason I love Facebook is that everybody I know is on there, from the person that I just met at a work event to my college best friend to my high school teacher who I haven't actually spoken to directly in years but love very dearly, to my neighbor from childhood. It really does cast a wide net, both for personal communication and professionally. So I see a lot of you seem to agree. And I would agree that in a lot of ways, it's the simplest. A lot of us are really used to it. Awesome. All right. So, first section, we're going to look at choosing the right channel based on our audiences and our goals. Okay. The first thing to consider when you're looking at your audience is, who are they? Who are you trying to reach? And who are you not trying to reach? So, by that, I mean, who do you think has no kind of interest in what you're selling, what service you're offering? Who is it just not going to be relevant to? But who is it going to be relevant to? Who's going to get really excited when you talk about this on social media? And what motivates them? And by that, I mean, what's going to motivate them to take the action that you like them to, whether that's going to your website to learn a little bit more about you, whether that's sending an email to connect with you and learn more about a service you're offering, whether it's purchasing a product. So considering who they are and what motivates them. So one audience could be fellow professionals. Are you trying to grow strategic relationships with another business so that you all can work together on something? Are you recruiting for a new role at your company? Are you trying to expand you and your colleagues' overall external network? For that, LinkedIn is definitely going to be the best platform. LinkedIn is pretty much solely dedicated to that professional networking and brand awareness and company promotion. So that could be one audience. Customers could be another one. If you're selling something or offering a service, and what's going to motivate them when you're thinking about that, you want to think what's going to seal the deal for them? What's going to get them to make that purchase, to send that consultation request email reaching out to you? Um, Facebook and Instagram are very common for these sorts of sales and interactions for services that you're offering. I don't talk about TikTok a lot in this presentation because that platform has changed so much and it's up, the future of it seems to be very up in the air. But just as an example here, you can think a lot about what sort of platforms offer. And TikTok, something that's growing a lot in popularity right now, is their shop feature. And a lot of small businesses are getting on there and having shops set up that don't even link to their website, but are just in that app. So it's interesting to think about, what different platforms offer you, what features are going to make that transition to your audience taking that action more seamless. And we'll talk about the different kind of affordances, pros and cons of each platform. And then lastly, stakeholders. This is a very broad umbrella term. This could be somebody like a board member for your company. It could be a town council member if you're trying to pitch something to them. It could be a potential investor in your company. And obviously, what motivates them is going to vary significantly based on what that role is. But some ways you might think about doing that: sharing your successes. What platforms are going to allow you to talk about what's going really well at your company and encourage people to get involved and get invested? What's going to motivate them to see, what your future plans are for your company, where you're headed, and if they're not already involved, how are we going to get them involved? So just kind of thinking about who they are and what is going to engage them, what's going to make them want to communicate with you or make that purchase. Okay, next slide. Another thing to consider is the key demographics of your audience. Different demographic populations tend to gravitate towards different types of content and different platforms. Age and gender is a big one. Facebook, because it's so popular, for example, tends to span a lot of different generations and a lot of different genders, a lot of different people coming for a lot of different reasons. But there are platforms like Pinterest, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that are, of course, open and accessible, and people find uses for them no matter who they are. But that one is particularly popular with adult women. Income and jobs is another one to consider. So especially if you're looking to expand your professional network or try to find a new position, is the position that you're promoting something that people who use LinkedIn are going to be looking for on there? Or is there a better way to redirect that time and focus to promoting that job elsewhere? Is there a better way you can spend your time, energy, and resources engaging with them on another platform? And another demographic would be interests. So I always say people are not going to LinkedIn for the makeup tutorial when they're looking at to engage with a cosmetic brand. They're going to something like Instagram to look at a little reel about it, or to see photos of a product. But they are going to LinkedIn to look for, job opportunities, opportunities to connect with people and learn more about fields, especially students who are looking to get ready for graduation. They're going on there for that purpose, but their attention for a product or to learn more about a company's offerings is probably going to be somewhere else. So keep all those things in mind. Next slide, please. Okay, the next one, and this is very important, is thinking about the goal of your content. So we talked a little bit about this when we thought about what's going to motivate your audiences, but also just what are you trying to achieve generally with your content? Are you promoting something? This has a lot to do with sales, but can also be promoting your company as kind of a pillar of the community. Educational. One of my clients is a water and sewer service provider, and they'll go on and talk about, here's some customer education on different EPA regulations and different things that we're doing to test the water and sewer lines. So they're striving to educate customers with that sort of content. Inspirational. I know some of y'all are with small business development centers. We've worked with some of those as well. And a lot of that content is sharing success stories of folks who have worked with us before and showing the benefits for their small business and giving them something to be inspired about, inspire them to come work with us, inspire them to even connect with us just to kind of turn that business dream into a reality. Entertainment is another one. Letterpress, when we do our marketing, some of it is more focused on sort of fun and our colleagues taking trips, our colleagues having these fun behind the scenes parts of their days, having fun with our clients, going to community events like the local art museum's gala, things like that. And the last one is community. At Letterpress, we are all about community powered marketing. That's our whole thing. So when we think about community, not only how are we working it into our plan for marketing and our plan for our content, but how are we working it into our budget and making that an actionable part of what we do? So for something like this, you could look at part of your content being dedicated to sharing posts from community partners, building relationships, encouraging both the business that you're engaging with, but also their following, their clientele, their customers to engage with you. So building those relationships. Everything that you do related to your community and your participation in it is marketing. So setting aside some funds for having a banner and a sponsorship at the local high school football stadium is marketing. Having some candy to pass out at a town Halloween trunk or treat event is marketing. Showing up to those community events, having a presence, supporting your community is definitely critical to marketing and something you're going to want to consider how you can do when you're choosing your different social media platforms. Next slide. This next one, again, we've sort of alluded to this already, but how do you want people to engage with your content? Are you looking for a like, a comment, a share, a website visit, a phone call, different things like that? So are you looking for somebody to see your post and immediately make a purchase from you? Do you want to direct folks to your website to learn more about you and your business? Do you want them to pick up the phone or type an email and contact you directly? So just thinking about that when you're creating your content and choosing a channel, different channels offer different ways of your customers connecting with you. And we're going to talk about that more. But just kind of think about how you want people to interact with what you're putting online. Next slide, please. Another thing to consider is what kind of content do you want to make? Do you want to make videos? And at that point, do you want to make short or long form videos? Do you want quick little reels showing off your product? Or do you want long form you sit down and really tell a story to your customers. You really provide a comprehensive overview of what you're offering to customers. Are you more focused on photos and still images showing off something? Are you really interested in posting blogs or articles, whether that's linking to your website and something you've written, or it's linking to something that relates to your business? Different platforms are going to offer you different ways of doing this. Okay, so with all of that in mind, and this is something that is constantly changing, but right now, this is the most popular social channels overall. And this is worldwide. So some of these I didn't even recognize. Like I've never used Telegram, or I don't know how you say that one with the D, Douyin. I have never interacted with those. That's not something I've seen a customer or a client interact with. But Facebook, again, right up top. YouTube, that's something that's very established that a lot of people are gravitated towards. Um, Instagram is another one. You'll notice, though, that in this top list, you don't see Twitter or X. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about the why we aren't seeing that. But just to give you a heads up, we do not tend to recommend that. In fact, I don't think we have, at least as long as I've been working in marketing, we've never really recommended that for a client. That platform's changed a lot. The people that gravitate towards it and the reasons they're gravitating towards it have changed a lot. So just something to keep in mind, what the research is saying about where your marketing efforts and money is going to be best spent. Next slide, that one.
Here we go.
All right, so now, thank you. We're going to take a deep dive into the different platforms and what they offer. So, Facebook, the world's #1 channel, and we can go ahead and click into the next slide for that one. All right, so what Facebook offers. A ton of different types of content can be shared on Facebook. You can do photos, you can do videos, but you can also very easily link to external sources. So if you want to direct people to your website, you're wanting to show people an article that you thought is relevant to your business and connects back to what you're doing, this is a platform that makes it super easy to do that. Directing people to your website, that's a common goal that we see and recommend for our advertising clients. And this makes it very easy to set that objective and monitor how that's doing. You can share other people's posts directly to your feed. So your static profile, where that's going to stay unless somebody, the original poster deleted that. Or you can share it to your stories. Stories are temporary posts that go up. If you've ever been on Facebook and you've seen a little extra circle around somebody's profile picture, that means they posted a story. They last 24 hours, but that can be something where you share something that's only going to be relevant for a little bit of time. If you're having an event in, yeah, go Wasps. But if you're having an event later today that you want to drive people to just promote one more time that morning, that's not really going to be relevant in another day. So that might be something that's better to share to your story than it is to your feed, especially if you've already done some promotion on your feed. It doesn't hurt to post it in both places. Another example I can think of would be if you're having a sale, a flash sale for the next 24 hours. You don't want somebody to think in 3 days that sale, excuse me, is still going on. So just thinking about what you can use on your static feed posts, but also on your stories. You can use Messenger to interact with your customers, answer any questions, address any issues that they're having, and you can get people to leave your business reviews. You can encourage people in your posts to do that, or you can, ideally, you would do both of encouraging people in your social content to do that, but also encouraging people in your business, in your store, when they come have a meeting with you. Kind of having some signs there about, leaving you a positive review. Facebook does allow that. All right. Some questions to consider with Facebook. How wide of an audience would you like to reach? Are you trying to reach a very specific group of people? If so, and you get into some paid advertising features, you can target based on interests. You can get very down into the nitty gritty. For one of my clients, we target folks with interests in hiking, biking, boutique shopping, craft beer, sort of niche interests so that we don't cast too wide a net. However, if your business is relevant to a lot of different people at a lot of different stages, then you can certainly cast a wide net, a very effective wide net on Facebook. Another question, would you like to use messaging to interact with customers? Do you want to be resolving issues through Facebook messages, or would you rather direct people to your website or to call you directly? It's not that you can't use that messenger to say, hey, thanks for reaching out. Go ahead and reach out this other way. But if you're able to solve it in that communication channel, that might be a good thing for you to do. And how can you build relationships with other organizations and partners in your community by sharing their content, engaging with their content? How can they then interact with you and get their audiences to interact with you? All right, next up, we've got Instagram. Visuals are key. This is a highly visual platform. So photos and videos, when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, are going to appear before your captions. So I believe the first 125 characters are visible in the feed of your text part of your post. But after that, your audience has to click into it. And that's fine. People can do that. But you want to focus primarily on, is your visual really delivering the bulk of the point of your post? Are you capturing their attention quickly so that they want to click into that post and read more? Can you shorten your content and rely more heavily on that visual? Much like Facebook, they allow stories, same thing, 24 hours, but you can also organize stories into static posts up at the top. So when somebody clicks into your profile, they'll see your bio, how many followers you've got, your profile picture. But if you organize them into these little playlists, you can keep certain stories that you think are relevant beyond that 24-hour limit, and people can immediately click into those. You can label them into different categories. So if you've got a store and you've got multiple different brands that you've posted about and you want to keep those on your story longer than 24 hours, you could separate them into story playlists based on what manufacturer they are, different things like that. Because it's so visual, Instagram is really great for showing off physical products. Beauty, fashion, and food are really big ones. Everybody's familiar with like the hashtag foodie, the stereotype that people go out to dinner and before they touch anything, they have to take a picture of their very pretty plate and how it's arranged. And that is still true. That's what people are sharing. That's also what they're looking to be exposed to on this platform. It's very popular among younger audiences. One drawback of this platform is that you can't link in your post copy. So Instagram, because it's so visual, you have to have an image anchored to your post. If you're on Facebook and you're trying to share a link from, let's say, Forbes, you post that link as your text in that post, it's going to automatically create a link preview. And that'll be sort of the visual that people can click on and engage with more. On Instagram, they can't click on that photo and engage directly with a link. And you can't, when you put it in the copy of a post, it doesn't create a clickable link. It's just going to show up like regular text. So you don't want to do that, but there's some ways around this. You can download something like Linktree, which is free, and that is something, it's a link that you can put in your Instagram bio. And once that's there, people can click on that link and see however many links you want them to see. So people will say things like, here's a press release. Here's a quick summary of that press release and a photo that we think is relevant. Hashtag link in bio for more information. So it's possible to share that kind of content, but it does have a little bit more of a barrier than other platforms. So some questions with Instagram. How can you use hashtags? Hashtags are still very popular on Instagram. People will type in, for example, hashtag craft beer, and they'll see all of these different posts that have been tagged with that in their search. So how can you do that to sort of categorize your posts and your business among that larger conversation? Do you have a defined visual brand and a clear company voice, clear brand identity? Have you chosen colors that you're sticking with consistently in your graphics? Have you decided on what words you want to use repeatedly to emphasize the values of your business and what kind of things you want to avoid. If you haven't, you can certainly still use Instagram, but you want to set aside some time to make those decisions and get that piece of it together before you rely heavily on Instagram. And do you have any posts pinned to help tell the story of your account? Are you using that story feature up at the top? You can pin things in your regular non-story feed posts as well. So how can you do that to prioritize certain types of content that you think are especially relevant? Next slide. And I'm going to drink some water. Thank you. LinkedIn. People sleep on LinkedIn, and we want to encourage them not to. This platform offers a lot, especially for business owners. Next slide. Thank you. So LinkedIn is primarily for, excuse me, had a little phone alarm go off for some reason. Primarily for networking, job hunting, and job advertising. You're not really going to be promoting a product. Like I said earlier, people are not going to LinkedIn to see the style this outfit with me sort of content that they're seeing on something like Facebook or Instagram. They're going to connect with other professionals in their field, build those client relationships. Personally, as a marketing firm, we're going on there to promote what we can offer to rural businesses and what community powered marketing means, how that can be beneficial. For something in economic development, you're probably going to be doing some similar things, promoting events, starting conversations, linking to relevant economic development news. So this is going to be, because that's professional, it's going to be a really good fit for this platform. It's particularly important for business owners to have a personal LinkedIn profile. This is going to be where you can build those relationships, you can connect with other people, you can talk about the journey of your business and the story of your business, even just on your personal profile, that gets a lot of engagement. And you can talk about other professional topics. For example, the owner of our company recently started her MBA program and has been talking on LinkedIn about that a lot. So she not only is talking about that as an update to her business, but was also getting some insights from other professionals on where she could go from there, what she could do with that, and just kind of sharing the news, but also getting perspectives. You can also have a company page. From the image, you can see that we do, and we share a lot on that. But you definitely, at a minimum, want to have a personal profile if you're a business owner. Next slide. Some LinkedIn questions. So kind of like with the example I used of my company's owner getting her MBA, how can you share more information about professional topics that you're already regularly talking about, but how can you situate them in this specific context and share them with a wider audience? Are you looking to grow your internal team by hiring? Are you trying to recruit people? Are you trying to increase your external network? So building those partnerships, or are you trying to do both? And have you invited people to follow your page? You can do this from the connections that you have on your personal profile. You can invite them to follow your business's page. So that's a great way if you aren't engaging with everybody in the LinkedIn connections list organically just through your own personal posts, you can get them to follow along a little bit more with your business. I know when I was back on the job market in 2022, when I was first getting ready to leave my master's program, first getting ready to graduate, I would apply for jobs on LinkedIn and they would frequently say, would you also like to follow along with this company? And they still show up on my feed. I still get engaged with these little corners of the world and corners of industry that I otherwise wouldn't. But it's nice to stay informed and see what other companies are doing and see a lot of different perspectives on how the professional world is changing. So think about all of those. All right, YouTube. This is the best platform for long form videos. It's been around for a very long time. I am 26 and I remember starting to watch these longer videos on YouTube back when I was in like middle school. So it's very established. People know what they're looking for when they go to this platform. So like I said, by far the best one for long form videos. You can post long form videos on Facebook and Instagram. However, they don't perform as well. Reels are what performs the best on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, you're limited to 90 seconds or less for a reel. And I think it's 15 or 20 minutes for a long form video. Um, on Instagram, because they exclusively use reels now. Oh, I lost my screen. What? Okay, my screen came back. My monitor just randomly turned black. Sorry about that. Um, anyway, uh, it did not like me talking about YouTube. It said, we don't need to watch that. Um, but Instagram, you can post up to 15 minutes in a video, but they recommend 90 seconds or less. So if you want to post something longer, like a tutorial of how to use your product that's going to take a little bit more than 90 seconds, if you want to share a commercial that you're airing somewhere else, if you want to do a blog, a vlog, if you want to sit down and tell a story that's going to take a little bit longer to share, YouTube is going to be your best place for that. When people go to YouTube, they're generally looking to sit with something for a minute. So they want to sit with your story and listen to you for a little bit longer than they probably are looking to when they're scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram. That's a little bit quicker of a pace. YouTube's a lot slower paced. You can also post short form videos. They just call them YouTube Shorts. It's basically the same thing as a reel, but it's not as popular on YouTube. It doesn't hurt to, if you've got a video made that you like, it doesn't hurt to post it on all the platforms that you're using. But long form is going to be the way to go overall. And another thing to note is that YouTube is owned by Google. So it helps you appear higher in those search results, your search engine optimization. If you've got a YouTube account, it's going to help with that result there. And yes, the reels do keep me on my phone for way too long also. Um, I just get so engrossed. And I think one of the interesting things about social media today is not only are you getting exposed to things that you follow, but all of these platforms have come up with something usually titled, something to the effect of explore. And so I find myself, I'm a marketing professional with interests in, being a cat mom and crafting and, Richmond, Virginia and all these things, but I'll wind up engaging with content from like nurses or parents or things like that. So you can think about your target audience and still try to target to them, but also think about the potential to just reach other people and engage their interest. So some questions for YouTube. What kind of videos do you want to share? Do you want to tell a more in-depth story, or do you want to give a quick peek at something and then encourage them to do something else? And what messaging would you like to share that you can't fit into a Facebook reel or an Instagram reel? What is going to be more easy to share with people sitting with you for a minute and really listening to that story? Next slide. All right, X/Twitter. This platform has changed a lot. Um, we have seen different owners, different people using it for different reasons. It has a different reputation overall. So next slide. So it's got this reputation of mostly being, and this reputation is largely true, being most popular among journalists, politicians, and individual influencers. People are usually going on Twitter to engage with a certain person and see a certain person's perspective and views, but it's not great for marketing. It's short. The posts are limited to, I believe, they made them longer after many years of it being short, but I believe they're now up to 280 characters. So that is not a lot. It doesn't give you much room to work with. It is easy to add links and have those links automatically generate a preview like they do on Facebook. However, those links, every letter in that is going to count towards your character count. So that's something to weigh the pros and cons of. And it's just overall become less popular in recent years. I genuinely have not recommended this for a client in a very long time, if ever. In fact, I can think of 3 clients in the last few years where we just said, delete or deactivate your Twitter. People aren't engaging with it. You're posting the same content, but you're not getting likes, you're not getting retweets. People aren't replying. So you're able to spend those resources and that time and that energy better elsewhere. My summer allergies are coming out, so I've got a little bit of a dry throat. Thanks for bearing with me. So some questions to consider when you're looking at using Twitter or X. Can you fit your message into those extremely short posts? Is it even worth trying to? Are your colleagues and competitors using the platform? Are other people in economic development constantly on Twitter looking for that news? Are people in your industry engaging with each other very regularly? Is that coming up in conversations you have with people? I worked in academia for a bit, and academic Twitter is actually still common in certain disciplines and certain circles, but not so much in others. So it might be worth looking into for a rural client in Virginia. I sort of doubt it, but it is something to consider. And are your target audiences using it? Do you think that the people you want to sell to or provide a service to are on it? And do you think at that point, when they're on it, they're looking for that sort of content? All right, Pinterest. This one's a fun one. It's all about being creative and getting inspired. Um, Next slide, please. All right, so what it offers, this is a big planning platform. So people go on there and search things like easy dinner recipes when they're not sure what to make for dinner tonight. When somebody is planning to move or redecorate, they're looking for living room inspo and seeing what kind of decor looks good in other places. When people want to do a craft project, but they're not sure what to do or where to start it, they need a tutorial. They're looking that sort of information up. I personally am on Pinterest almost exclusively to find cross stitch patterns because that is my hobby. But I'm not going on there to build my professional network. I'm not even going on there to really socialize with anybody else. I'm just using that to plan. And I am evidence. It is particularly popular with women. 42% of American adult women are on it and use it regularly. Like Instagram, it's heavily visual. If you take a look at that phone in the picture right there, you see that there's these very pretty photos that are attention grabbing, but you're not seeing that text. At most, you're going to see a title of a pin, but that's about it. So you really have to pack that punch in the visual if you're going to use Pinterest. And people use it sort of in line with that planning to make like vision boards. They're technically just called boards, but sort of the same principle of, if I'm redoing my kitchen, what do I want that to look like? What sorts of colors am I considering painting the walls? What sorts of furniture do I want to buy for it? It's a combination of ads and, linking to specific products, but also people just sharing what their rooms look like or what their dinner recipe was, and planning that way. So, some questions about Pinterest. What would you like your content to inspire audiences to do? What do you want them to make a plan to do based on your content? Is that relevant to what you're doing and the way that Pinterest is kind of crafting that customer journey? Is your content related to something? I think Pinterest, I think recipes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is your content something that audiences are going to engage with and then make something or make over something? Are you a furniture store? Because that would make a certain amount of sense where people are going to be using that to plan something to make over their home. But for something like a small business development center, not so much. People are not going to be looking on Pinterest really for that sort of content. And what are the more creative aspects of your customer experience? Are those creative aspects something that constitute enough of a part of your customer journey to share on a platform specifically dedicated to being creative? All right, I have given you a lot of information. And so now we're taking this information and going, what do we do now? What are our next steps to sort of coming up with our social media strategy and choosing those correct channels? So this is just sort of a quick checklist, and we've touched on this, but evaluating your goals and your target audiences, what do you want to achieve? Experimenting with posting on different platforms and adjusting based on your results. It doesn't hurt to try. And social media is constantly changing. We have a social media manager at Letterpress, and every week she comes into our weekly meetings with different updates on Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, is phasing out this feature, but they're introducing this feature. Best practices are constantly changing. So see what works. Try it out for a week or 2 weeks or a month. And if it's not working, try something different. You'll be surprised sometimes by you try two different things at the same time. You try a post that you think is going to perform super well, that you love the image with it, and you think it's a super engaging caption, and one that you like, but you're not so sure about it. And then the one that you weren't sure about dramatically outperforms the one you thought was, going to be a Nobel Peace Prize winning piece of content. So it really is just about trying and seeing what works. Everybody's audience is unique and is going to yield different results. Another thing to keep in mind is to be on the lookout for opportunities that can become fun content. I talked a little bit earlier about how I have a water and sewer service provider as a client. And I'm always telling them when you go out and do professional development trainings, when you are in the field doing maintenance work, take pictures of that, take videos of that so that we can share that and kind of feed into a couple different pillars of content. So we talked earlier about inspirational, educational, all these different things you want to incorporate in some capacity. So be on the lookout for opportunities where you can do that. And lastly, stay informed of trends. And on the next slide, we're going to direct you to some resources where you can do that. So we recommend these sources. They tend to be the best, the most like widely sort of accepted and credible in the field. Social Media Examiner is a huge one. They have a gigantic conference every year, but they post regular articles on their website just about changing trends. Hootsuite is similar. Sprout Social and Social Media Today, these are all great sources that you can just check every so often to see what larger conversations about the social media landscape are. All right. So that wraps up my presentation. What questions do folks have?
I have a question while everybody's thinking. Um, so what advice would you give or suggestions, I guess, for those who aren't really comfortable with putting themselves on camera, like for YouTube or even for some of their posts? Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we always encourage people to have people in their content in some capacity. We know that across platforms, posts with people feature, gain higher results, gain a little bit more traction. However, we understand that some people are more private than other people. So I would say one recommendation, excuse me, I gave to a client a while back. They said the same thing. They wanted to stay a little bit more private. You can still include yourself in a post, even as an image where your back is turned or they're looking over your shoulder at something. And that way, there's still a person in it. They're still engaging. Your customer can still put themselves into this narrative of this whatever this person is doing, but it's not so personal. And there's definitely a lot of content that you can share without sharing pictures of yourself. Like I said, if you're sharing a Forbes article or a Virginia Business article, that's not something that's relying so heavily on you having a personal kind of exposure in it. I would encourage everybody to do what they can to like work up that comfort level and share what they're doing and be confident in sharing that journey. But I know that there are privacy concerns. So it's sort of weighing the pros and cons and assessing your own comfort level. Did that answer your question?
yeah, yeah, that was perfect. Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, there's one in the chat.
All right. What is one high impact thing that I can do every week to support my social channels?
Good question.
I would say that one big thing is ensuring that you're doing regular engagement at least once a week, if not twice. You've got to budget time in there beyond just posting or scheduling your social content and make sure that you're responding to those comments, that you're inviting people to like the page, that you're monitoring for any critical comments or inappropriate comments. Hopefully, you don't get many of those. And thankfully, most of our clients don't get very many. But you want to make sure that that is being addressed. If somebody's had a problem with you, you have a chance to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you had this experience. Let me fix that." Even if somebody is commenting positively or sharing your post positively, you can say, "Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate this. Thanks so much for your kind words. Thanks for your support." Just little things like that. The more that you engage with those things, you are pushing yourself up in the algorithm, showing people that you care, showing people that you're not just here to post content and leave. You want this to be a conversation and an ongoing way of engaging with you. looking in your mentions and tags and seeing what people have tagged you in. We work with, in our economic development client, we work with Go Virginia Region 3, and a lot of times they will be tagged in other companies, opportunities, events they're hosting, just to sort of put it on our radar. And then we can share that with our audience and say, hey, this event or this opportunity or this grant from our community partner is something that would definitely be relevant to you. But if we aren't going in and checking that every week, right, we don't know that that is there for us to work with. So just making sure that you're going in and monitoring things and looking for those opportunities to further your presence and to have that ongoing conversation. That was a good question.
So, as everybody knows, Sandy Ratliff was our uh, guru of everything technology. And when we were doing these classes, she would put them on Facebook Live, and then we would upload later from Zoom to our YouTube channel. But does Facebook Live have a time limit?
I don't believe so. I have honestly never worked with a client who's used Facebook Live. I'm going to, I'm just going to be real. I'm going to look it up. Does
Yeah.
Facebook Live have a time limit? Let's see. 8 hours. So,
Oh, wow.
So you're saying that we could have done this on Facebook Live today, and
yes,
it would have been fine.
yes.
Okay.
And it never hurts if you've got content that you think is good and appropriate, for multiple platforms. You wouldn't want to put this on Pinterest, for example, but for Facebook Live, that certainly doesn't hurt to put it there and upload it on YouTube later. So if you've got good content that's going to work on those platforms, I would say there's no drawback to putting it on both.
Okay. Very good. Um, so as Alex said, the most businesses are looking for the highest impact.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that Facebook is the one social media channel that is the most used, correct?
It's the most used and it's the most used for a variety of different purposes. So yes.
So it, in other things that I've read, they kind of say that Facebook Live gets the, I don't know, 40 plus audience. Do you think that that's changing, um, or do you, like, I know none of my grandchildren use Facebook at all, so they're into Instagram and Snapchat and probably TikTok and things that I don't know anything about. So when you're doing marketing, you have to consider your age of your clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say for something like that, Facebook Live, from what I know about it, I do see, when it pops up on my feed. I'll be honest with you, it's usually from my classic rock musicians that I follow who want, my boomer parents to go on and watch the live from Herman's Hermits. That's a very niche example, but it is the one that comes to my mind. So I do think there's some credibility to that. I would say if you're trying to decide whether something is going to reach your target audience, if your target audience is younger folks, then Facebook Live might not be a good choice. But also, how long would it take you to get that set up? You don't want to invest a bunch of time into something that's not going to yield results. But if you try it once or twice and you get the hang of it and it's only taking you 5 minutes to get that Facebook Live set up, try it out and see if it works, see if it gets you any engagement, and then pivot from there. If it's working really well, keep doing it. If it's not, switch your focus to something like Instagram that is geared a little bit more towards younger folks. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions? Speak now. You have a professional online.
Yeah, I've got a question, and I've gotten this from a couple people here in town that ask me, when people do, instead of just doing like just basic posts to get the engagement, when they actually do the sponsored posts, anecdotally they've told me it seems like people will not engage with a sponsored post. It's almost like, especially the younger generation, kind of sees it as, I don't know how you want to, they won't have the natural engagement. It's kind of like people think it's not even genuine. So they don't even like, it's like they're wasting money on sponsored posts.
Yeah. So I will say, and this presentation has more been about like generally like where do you even start and what do you choose to post on? But I think there's another important conversation because social media is becoming and has, honestly has been for a little while now, a pay to play sort of platform. So it depends on the platform, I would say. Facebook ads, you are scrolling in your feed and you see it automatically. Um, TikTok, you're doing the same thing, but those ads are longer. And that's why people tend to scroll past them. People are on TikTok trying to see, cat videos. They don't want to stop and look at your, furniture ad or your economic development ad. So I think it's all about context. How are you using advertising features to target certain demographics? Facebook is great for that. So you can target people in your service area. You can target people with your specific interest or between your certain age groups. So that's going to help with getting more engagement on those sponsored posts. It also depends how much money you can dedicate to putting into them and how long you run them for. 14 days is the best practice for running ads on Meta. And LinkedIn, we've gotten different things, but it seems to be about a month. They tend to perform better on there with a longer period of exposure. So I would say that if you want to boost your posts and get a little bit more engagement, being really intentional about who you're targeting and what your goal that you're setting with that ad is. A lot of our clients will do website visits because they want people to go to their website and sign up for an event or read an article or sign up for a newsletter. And when you set that ad, you want to make sure that you're setting that as the ad objective because the algorithm will sort of show that to people who are more likely to do that than others. So I think there's definitely something to be said for people skip ads on certain platforms, but there are platforms that are more and less suited to ads, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Because like that's kind of what I tell people is if you're just trying to bring people like traffic and get like name recognition, I don't think ads are a great thing. Like you have to be pretty specific and really understand the analytics behind it before you start trying to go down that route of buying ads and you're trying to drive a certain, if you're trying to drive something straight to market, you're trying to drive them directly to that sell. If you're just trying to get name recognition, ads don't seem like a great expense, especially in the beginning.
I would say you definitely want to have a really good grasp on what your goals are, who your audience is. But there are ads, I know on Meta, sometimes one of our goals is to promote this Facebook page, especially for something like a municipality. We want people to be following along for updates there because those updates are going to be timely, they're going to be relevant. We want people to know that this is a resource. So we'll run an ad with the goal of engagement. And that ad will be specifically focused on getting people to like and follow the page. So I think there is benefit to doing those. However, we wouldn't run them as often as we would, directing people to a website, encouraging people to make a sale, things like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So two points that maybe are or aren't correct. I'm asking you if they are. Using hashtags, does that help create more engagement? Because we've always been under the impression that a Facebook post, probably you're going to get, if you're lucky, 50 people to see it, unless you purchase some sort of ad in a zip code. And so, Isaiah, if you've been working with people, they may have heard that before, that they have to, pay to actually get a large engagement audience. But my question is that true? And my other question is, do hashtags help get more engagement?
So just to make sure I understand your first question. Your first question is, are you really going to have to spend money to get people to engage in significant amounts? That was your
Yes.
first question. Okay. I mean, over the long term, I would say that you definitely want to incorporate that into your marketing budget and your marketing plan. That is a great way to get traction, and it pays off in the long run, because if you get people to follow along with your page or engage with you, those people are probably going to stay. So it is an investment in the long-term organic engagement and reach and followers. But there is something to be said for using the resources that you have just organically for free available to you. So making the most of those features on each platform, doing everything that you can to promote people while you're interacting with them to one channel or another. Promoting, if you have a really successful Facebook and Instagram account, but your LinkedIn account has very few followers, encouraging people in posts on one platform to go follow you on another. They might just not know about it. And making sure that you're giving each platform the time and attention to set it up, position it for the best success possible. As far as your question about hashtags, hashtags are great. That is a wonderful way. If somebody's got an interest in the general category that your business falls into, they can just go to the economic development hashtag on your post, or on that you've got in your post. They can search it, and then your post will pop up in that search result.
Okay.
So for example, if you had, I live in Richmond, and my entire personality is Richmond, Virginia. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. My hometown. So I'm always going on to Instagram and looking at the RVA hashtag to see what's going on in town, to see what new businesses and new restaurants are opening, things like that. So for economic development, you could hashtag an area that you're working with on economic development. If you post something about, let's say news in Mecklenburg County, if you hashtag that, then when somebody looks up Mecklenburg, even if they're not necessarily looking for that initially, they'll see it. So hashtags are definitely good at organizing your content and making sure that it shows up in those searches. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Going once. We certainly appreciate you being our first new speaker of the season. One of the last things that Sandy said to Nita and I was, go ahead and get the new knowledge scheduled and on the books. And we always did everything she told us to, even if we fussed about it. So we certainly appreciate everybody continuing to be engaged in this. It was something that was something that was dear to Sandy's heart, and we are trying to honor that in the new knowledge, and we will continue in the business challenge. Her family asked for donations to be made to the incubator, and that money is going to go into a new business challenge award called the Sandy Ratliff Entrepreneurship Award. And we don't have the details down yet, but we are working on that. So I thank you for all of your participation and your willingness to help. Billy and Jean have done a tremendous job in helping us figure out what Sandy was doing, because none of us knew. And so, stay tuned, stay in touch with us. You know how to get in touch with Billy or Jean or me or Nita, and stay in touch. And, let's try to keep this going and make it better. So thank you. Billy, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to, thanks, Karen. You did a great job. That was very, very informational and helpful. I think everybody enjoyed it. But the next new knowledge session is September 4th, right, Kathy? And it's LinkedIn for Business Networking. And you can find today's session. Are you guys going to put that on your Facebook, Kathy?
I am. If I can figure out how to do it.
I'll try to help you.
You're going to upload it to YouTube, right?
I'm going to try. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to try it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, you'll be able to find it on usually it's on the YouTube, which there's a whole list of helpful things there that Sandy had done over the years. For pretty much anything, you can just search in that YouTube bar, and then we'll get it up on the incubators Facebook there, and I think that takes care of it. Where can they sign up for other? Is it virginiastartup.org?
No, that was a private website. We had
Oh,
to,
that's right. I had that
Jean
in
had
my
to,
head.
yeah, Jean had to create that in Zoom, right? Jean, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to thank Karen for today's session, and also to let everybody know that Letterpress is going to do 4 more different advertising topics throughout the course of the rest of this year. So stay tuned for that. But on the vhsbi.com website, on our homepage, there is a link to all the new knowledge classes. If you click on that, it will bring up over 200 YouTube videos that we've recorded on YouTube, or you can go to YouTube New Knowledge and find them there as well. But the homepage of the VHSBI website has the rest of the classes listed under the events for the rest of this year. And then we will be sending out periodically, usually a week before the next class, we'll send out via our MailChimp the flyers to register for the upcoming classes. Like Billy said, the next class is September 4th, so that's 2 weeks. And it's going to go a little bit further in depth into LinkedIn. And Cindy Hagman has been a speaker for us before, and she's going to go into how to connect online with business professionals and gives us tips and how to create a business profile. So if you have any questions, my email is Jean, Jean, at vhsbi.com, or you can contact Kathy C. Lowe at vhsbi.com, or Nita is at the Washington County Chamber. She's a great partner as well as Billy on with Locus. So hopefully we'll continue on Sandy's special quest for engaging all small business and helping you learn about different topics. Thank you again.
But just to follow up, I think Billy's question was, how do they sign up?
Yeah, on our VHSBI.com website, on the homepage, under the events, it'll show you all of the classes that are scheduled with speakers through the end of this year. And then the dates in our event page has a link to register for the classes, along with the flyers that will be emailed via our MailChimp.
Okay, yeah. That's what I wasn't clear about. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I put it all in the chat too, guys. If you want to go over there, you can see it there while she was talking. All right. I think we're all set. I'll get the recording to you guys, and thank you all for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having me. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Thank
Karen.
you so much.
Of
Bye-bye.
course. Take care.